Hi, this is the Ninth Wave, and today I'm going to show you how to make a Sims 4 to Sims 2 object conversion. Now, you're going to need a couple of things before we get started, and I'm going to give you links to these programs in the description. You're going to need SimPE, and you're going to need Sims 4 Studio. You're going to need Milkshape and Blender. Now, once you get Sims 4 Studio, they give you a link to download Blender, so you don't really have to get Blender as long as you have Sims 4 Studio, because it will give you a link when it notices you don't have it to the right Blender for the right version of Blender for Sims 4 Studio. You're gonna need the DDS utilities from NVIDIA, and you don't really need an image editor program for this, but it's recommended for doing meshes and things like that. But I don't think you need it for conversions. So anyway, once you have Sims 4 Studio, go ahead and open that up. And under Object, it says Standalone Recolor or Create 3D Mesh. You want to select Standalone Recolor, because if you select Create 3D Mesh, it won't pull all the recolors. It'll just pull the default recolor. So make sure Standalone Recolor is selected and press Object. And up here in the game packs, here you can see all the ones that you can use. Just because they're there doesn't mean you have them. So they all show up according to your version of Sims 4 Studio, but you have to have them in order to see objects from them. So we're just going to do something from the base game, because I'm sure you have that at least. Well, you have to do a Sims 4 conversion. Anyway, let's click on this first plant that we see, Lovely Lily Pot. Click Next. And you want to create a folder on your desktop called Test. This is where you keep all of your temporary packages. You can call it anything you want, but I call mine Test. So go to Test, and in the file name write Test, or you can just overwrite what you already had there if you've already done this. So I overwrite it because I already have it. And here you see it has 6 recolors. So here in the catalog, this is the name and the description and the price. You can include the original in that if you want to. I don't always do that because I don't really see the point, but if somebody asks for it, I will. But anyway, go to your texture tab and click export down here under the texture. Now you're gonna want to have a folder on your desktop called Meshes too, where you can save your textures in meshes. So go to your desktop and create a folder called Meshes. Let me get rid of what's in there already. Alright. Now export your texture to your Meshes folder and call it Mesh Texture and save it. And then on the second one, export it and call it Texture 1. Now I do this because it's easier to number your recolors and differentiate from the mesh color. And then on the third one, call it Texture 2. Now I'm not going to really go into all the recolors here. I'm just going to do 3 of them just to show you how it's done. Alright, go to your Meshes tab and go to Export Mesh. Now this is the point where you do this, it'll ask you if you want to download Blender if you don't already have it. So it'll give you a place to click where you can download Blender real quick, and you can just get to work. So save it to your mesh folder as Flower Mesh. Save. And see, it shows in your mesh folder you have the flower mesh and the 3 textures. Now you can minimize Sims 4 Studio in case you want to come back to it and do something else later. But once you have the Blender installed, you can double click on the Blender icon for the mesh and go to File, Export, Wavefront OBJ, and then go to Export OBJ and close Blender. Now you want to delete your Blender file and your MTL material, Flower Mesh material and Flower Mesh the Blender file, leaving only the Flower Mesh OBJ. Alright, now you're going to want to open Milkshape and go to File, Import, Wavefront OBJ, not Wavefront OBJ UV only, Wavefront OBJ. And for me, it takes me right to my meshes folder because that's the last thing that I imported from. But yours might take you somewhere else. You would need to browse to your meshes folder. So import your flower mesh and go to Edit, select all, Face, Smooth All. Then go to Model tab and go under Tools, press Select. And with your mouse, left click and drag and select that little dot on the right hand side and delete it. So that deletes your shadow, Sims 4 shadow. And go to Edit, select all, File, Export, Wavefront OBJ, Flower Mesh, and save it over what you exported. Alright, you go to File, New, and you don't have to save because it's already saved in your meshes folder. Alright, now open SimPE and at the top go to Extra, Preferences, and here's where you put in your DDS NVIDIA tool. If you don't already have it there, that means you need to install it and tell the SimPE where to find it. So once you have DDS utilities installed, you have to go to Browse, and the path is Computer, C, Program Files, or x86, NVIDIA Corporation. Then go to DDS Utilities and you can click the NVDXT, double click it, and it'll automatically show up. You might have to restart SimPE after you do that in order for it to actually kick in. Alright, now go to your file table and you want to make sure it looks like mine, where it has only original, graphics, and CEP selected. You don't want to select any of the expansion packs or stuff packs because it will require an expansion pack or stuff pack if you select them. So if you had to uncheck any of these boxes, click reload and wait for it to reload down here. There'll be a green progress bar. Wait till that all goes away and press OK and then restart SimPE. Okay, now once you have all that done, go down to the bottom where it says Object Workshop if you're not already there and press Start. Now we're cloning from a plant because we're converting a plant. So go to Decorative, Plants. The simulated succulent is a good floor plant to clone from because it can only be placed on the floor. You can't place the simulated succulent on tables, and that's good for floor plants like what we're doing. So click on the simulated succulent and click Next. And you're going to want to make sure your defaults are selected, so press Set Defaults in the orange just to be sure. And your task is going to be clone, not recolor right now, clone. And press Start. And here you can rename it The Sims for Lilliput for The Sims 2. I say keep the price the same, but some people like to have the original prices. And then type the same thing, of course, in the description, or whatever you want to type in the description. And click Finish. And here you can rename your, this is a screen graph rename wizard, where you have to rename it if you're cloning it new. So, call it TS4 LP for Lilliput, TS2, and I put T and W. And press Update, and press OK. Now you're going to want to save this to your downloads folder as Sims 4 Lilliput Sims 2. And in these file names you can only have letters, numbers, underscores, and hyphens. You can't have any other special characters, no asterisks, no parentheses, no question marks or anything like that. Just letters, numbers, hyphens, and underscores. So once you have your name all set up, you can press save. And then in the resource tree, scroll down till you see texture image, and click on one of the textures and click plug in view at the bottom. And you see this is your plant texture. So if you have NVIDIA DDS utilities correctly installed, you can just right click and go build DXT. And the levels I changed to like 15 or so. Anything above 12, if you're not sure how big your texture is, or if it's bigger than the max's texture for Sims 2, you can change it to 12 or above. Don't go too high because it might mess up your SimPE. But just I generally say anything from 12 to 16 in the levels section. Now format, make sure DXT3 format is selected. That's what we want. It's already there. And sharpen, make sure none is selected. And go ahead and click open under open image and browse to your desktop meshes and get the mesh texture and click build. And you notice that number changes from 9 to 10. That's because we put a higher number in the levels box. And press commit. Okay. Now go to the texture above it. This is the shadow. I I generally say we don't need to keep the shadow, but since the shadow looks like this, I'd say it might be okay to not change the shadow at all, not delete it, just keep it like it is. Alright, go to your GMDC geometric data container in the res and in the resource list, and now export just your plant jade gang, export that to your meshes. In other words, don't click ground shadow, just click the plant. And you don't have to rename it, you can just press save. Now, open back up Milkshape and go to File, Import, Wavefront OBJ, and import your Simulant Succulent. Now, make sure under the Model tab, selected again, and just delete this little dot right here. Now go to File, Import, Wavefront OBJ, and import your Sims 4 Flower Mesh. Now I do this all the time. Every time I do a conversion, I import the Sims 4 mesh over the Sims 2 mesh, because you never know if it's going to be way over here or way over there, because sometimes it's in different places in the Sims 4 and the Sims 2, and if you put it in, if you don't change it, it'll be way off to the side in the Sims 2 or up in midair even. So make sure it fits along with the Sims 2. Default is the Sims 4 group, and Plant Gang is the Sims 2 group. So it fits in pretty nicely right there. So we can delete our Plant Jade Gang. That's the Sims 2 one. Delete that and go to Edit, select all, File, Export, Wavefront OBJ, and export it over your Sims 4. You could do it over the Sims 2 one, but I like to just do it over the Sims 4 one because it's a smaller file name and everything. So just export it over your Sims 4 Flower Mesh and open back SimPE and go to Import at the bottom and import your Flower Mesh that you just exported. Now here in this screen, we want to, under Keep Order False, we want to go to Action, Replace. And then we can replace the Plant Jade Gang, not the ground shadow. That would really mess things up. Replace Plant Jade Gang and press OK. And then we can go down a little bit and look at a preview by clicking Preview at the lower left hand. And you see you have your Sims 4 plant. You can even like zoom in and stuff. Alright, press Commit, OK, and then go to your object data OBJD in the resource tree and again in the resource list, and erase the last 4 numbers in the GID. 1, 2, 3, 4, and give it something unique that you've never used and that you think nobody else has ever used for this particular thing, like 8792, and press Update MMATs and commit. Don't press Update all MMATs. Just press the plain Update, and then go to File, Save, and you're done. You just created a Sims 4 object for the Sims 2.